Listen, I've gotten a bunch of requests to cover the movie that made Jamie Lee Curtis the actress she is, but I'm gonna cover Freaky Friday another time. Instead, since it's been 40 years since Vector Cutco released their best mascot, I'd figured I'd break down every Halloween movie, every film starring Michael Myers, since I binged all 11, just to find out that like 9 of them don't even matter. Let me explain. So going all the way back to 1978, you got the original that in a sense pioneered all of the slashers we know today. Like, it's considered to be so culturally and historically significant that it's in the freaking Library of Congress. And we're talking about a movie whose budget was so low, the Michael Myers mask is really just a melted Captain Kirk one. So in 1963, little Michael must have seen Eminem's 3 a.m. video because he decides to wake up in the middle of the night and randomly kill his sister with a knife from the Halloween series. Y'all worried about strangers doing something to your kids? I'm worried about them doing something to me. Mikey's parents are obviously upset at him, so they put him in timeout at the local psychiatric facility where he starts being looked after by Dr. Loomis. Now, what's interesting about this dude is that he's actually named after a character from the movie Psycho. Some people even think that it might be the same character whose wife died in Psycho because of a psycho, and because of that, he ends up becoming a doctor who dedicates his life to investigating killers, and that's why he's so emotional towards Michael. I just think they were very influenced by Psycho in many ways, especially when you consider that this is Jamie Lee Curtis's mom who gets stabbed in that movie. 15 years later, he escapes, he jacks a mechanic for his jumpsuit, and steals William Shatner's face as he goes back to his hometown. Randomly, he sets his eyes on Laurie, since Michael smashes more babysitters than Brazzers, and starts stalking her everywhere she goes. And while I get that Michael is supposed to be scary, and he is, he even gets some great kills in, Michael's swinging and missing more than Javi Baez at points. You actually even get a little glimpse of his face, looking like Dolph Lundgren. But then a psychiatrist looms around the corner and takes him out with just a couple of shots, only for him to get beamed up by Scotty because he just vanishes. Watching it again, I was surprised how short the first one was. I may be in the minority here, but I feel like it's kind of like a Future album where it's the instrumental that really carries it in my opinion. But it's a classic, so I'll say it's a junior price, even though it's a little bit better at home. So after the first one, they made another 5, followed by these 2 that weren't even connected to those 5, and then another 2 that just straight restarted everything, and then this requel boo in 2018 that ignores everything else except the first one because it's a direct sequel to that one from 40 years ago, and it's just really confusing. Let me explain further. So the sequel from 1981 called Halloween 2, which isn't to be confused with Halloween 2 or the soon-to-be Halloween 2, is the Halloween movie to extend the lore. It turns out Laurie is actually Mikey's sister who was given up for adoption, and that's why Michael wants to get her so bad. Sadly, Michael gets shot in the eyeballs like Carl in this one, so his batting average gets really low and can't do anything. And then Loomis sacrifices himself and kills Michael by blowing up the hospital, proving that you can kill the boogeyman. They don't kill the boogeyman. Granted, this third one has absolutely nothing to do with Michael Myers, since the point was to kind of create a trick-or-treat anthology series where every Halloween they would have different stories about different killers, but people were like, that's the dumbest thing in the world, that'll never
American Horror Story Apocalypse.
That said, I don't think 3 is terrible. It's clearly separate since they're even watching the first Halloween within this movie, but for those of you who remember the Disney Channel original film Up, Up, and Away, it's practically that with witches. There's this big company who's selling Halloween masks because they're trying to do this ancient witchcraft ritual that deals with Stonehenge. So by posting this fake giveaway commercial that's got all of the kids hyped, as long as they're watching the commercial with the mask on, it'll trigger something inside of it that'll turn their brain into mush, thus having them be a part of this sacrifice. I guess giveaways are cancer. There's a scene where someone pokes a dude's eyeballs to death before blowing himself up, a whole twist dealing with android henchmen and an android lover, and then it gives you one of those ambiguous endings where you don't know if he was able to stop everything from happening or if the ad does fully play, thus ending everyone. I think it ends everyone, and almost even ended the franchise. So 4, 5, and 6 focus on Laurie having died off screen since Jamie Lee Curtis was kind of busy during this time, and instead we focus on her daughter, Jamie Lee Floyd. Did these 2 explode into a million tiny pieces at the end of the other Halloween movie? Yeah, but I guess someone pulled a Mike Wazowski and pieced them back together. Michael finds out that he has a niece, and being the potential godfather, goes out to look for her, only to get hit by these dudes who want to make Illinois great again, and they blow up Michael when he falls into a ditch. Obviously, Mikey's gonna pull a Shawshank or something in order to live long enough to see another sequel, but the really scary part is when little Jamie goes back home. She puts on a clown mask right at the end of this movie and reenacts what her uncle did in the first one. In part 5, it turns out Michael and Jamie have a connection where they telepathically can communicate and even kind of control each other. So Loomis decides to use that power as a way to trap Michael and lure him back to his old home, which, oh shoot, wasn't the smartest idea. A lot more people die, but by the end of it, Loomis is able to land in some strokes on Michael before having one himself and dying again. Mikey sheds a tear as he talks to his niece. The cops eventually arrest him with his mask on. Everyone finally has a happy ending until, of course not, some random mysterious dude with a briefcase shows up and frees Michael from jail in order to have... Now, it turns out this man in black actually kidnapped both of them, which is kind of ironic. How does that feel, Mikey? He's running this cult where Jamie gets impregnated in order for them to have a baby that they can use to pass on evil too. And considering that there's 2 versions of this movie, it's heavily implied that...
Mike, you are the father!
So in a sense, this movie's like the most demonic custody battle I've ever seen. Jamie's able to run away from the cult before getting killed by Michael. Paul Rudd appears as a grown-up Tommy Doyle, who was that little kid that Laurie was babysitting in the first, and it's revealed that the chief director of the ward that Michael Myers was admitted to as a kid is in fact the fool running this cult. For some reason, he became obsessed with him as a psycho, and so he put a curse on Michael Myers that's known as Thorn, which causes him to kill his family, and it's this whole circle sacrifice thing that happens, and they want to pass it on to the next of kin. It's dumb, but Ant-Man decides to come in with the truth serum, sedates Myers, and Dr. Loomis yet again dies as he goes back to finish business with Myers, officially ending the... Okay, so none of those sequels we just covered matter for these next 2. It turns out Jamie Lee Curtis does want to come back, and she just ignores all of the sequels we just covered, and in this one, it actually takes place right after the first one. She fakes her death in order for Michael to not find her, and luckily she's been safe for 20 years, hence the H2O, because it's Halloween 20, so it's Halloween. They're drowning in acronyms. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is actually in this movie, and he kills it for the 5 seconds that he's in it.
All right, let's not anyone mess with me here. Jimmy been suspended 5 times this year already for getting a little crazy with the stick, all right?
He does in fact get a little crazy with the stick, but not enough to stop Michael from getting his sister's file so he can go find her. Like I said, at this point, Laurie has a kid. She's getting jiggy with George Clooney, and then has to deal with her crazy brother again when he goes to ruin a field trip and starts killing them. LL ain't so cool in this. Michael's doing one-arm push-ups but still has his accuracy at low. And then there's this whole table sequence that I used to think was super dope as a kid, and I would play it at weddings, surviving every single time. But then they pull that annoying thing that a lot of horrors do, where a character refuses to let the hero do a double tap on the bad guy, as if you gotta show the bad guy mercy or something. Jamie says screw that, I'ma take the body and do this whole chase sequence since the movie's still short and we gotta fill up the 90 minutes, and Michael awakens only to fly out the windshield, get pinned to a tree, and reach out to his sister, which I'm not gonna lie was kind of emotional, because when you really think about it, Michael, all he's ever wanted was to show his sister. Psych! She net starts the dude officially killing the boogeyman and claiming his death once and for all. He gets resurrected. Now, somehow years later, they decide to give you this flashback that Michael, after getting stabbed and falling, found a way to swap out his body with a paramedic, which... when did Michael find the time to get up and find someone with his exact same build? When did Michael find the time to do the old swapperoo and get another man naked with no one looking? Why didn't Michael kill this dude so he wouldn't wake up again? Why did the medic signal to Laurie instead of having the same mannerisms as Michael? What's because Michael's a damn boss? Never mind. They end up putting Laurie in a psych ward, chilling with the original Annabelle doll, when Michael comes after her, but since they let her binge all of the Home Alone on Tuesdays, she gets him with a booby trap until he stabs her in hers and she dies. for like the third time. They still have to fill up the rest of this movie since that only took like 20 minutes. So Busta Rhymes decides to start an internet reality show with Tyra Banks since, he knew Exhibit was about to get his soon and he wanted to beat him to it. He decides to post a bunch of people up at Myers' old home and to film it to see not only who can last the night, but figure out why Michael Myers did what he did. A question the screenwriters had too. Obviously, these people think it's all fun and games till it turns into Hellfest, and Michael starts killing them one by one while people are watching the show online. And they're watching this guy try to defend himself by throwing pepper. Thankfully, the kid from Luck of the Irish was lucky enough to be streaming it, and he's able to call for help since he was friends with one of the girls on AIM. Busta Rhymes and Busta Michael, and Mr. Myers gets burned to a crisp before his rigor mortis kicks in last second.
Looking a little crispy over there, Mikey. Like some chicken fried, motherfucker.
Years later, in the year of Soulja Boy AD, Rob Zombie decided to remake the original, but make it way more brutal. Pretty much, he reimagines it as if Joe Dirt was a serial killer. Instead of just killing his older sister that one night, he kills everyone in the house and starts getting looked after by the new Loomis, who I'm not sure if the guy from A Clockwork Orange is the best fit to be a child psychologist, but whatever. Besides being more violent, Rob's idea was to really dissect him as a Dahmer-like psychopath, that because a lot of horror icons have become so familiar, they're so popular, they're spoofed all the time, that the general audience wasn't really seeing them as being scary anymore, and he kind of makes a point. However, I don't know about some of the quotes that he gave, like wanting the audience to have it be so ambiguous that they wouldn't know whether he wanted to kill the sister or if Michael just wanted to find his sister because he loves her.
Sociopaths.
This Michael also spends a lot more time in jail killing my Uncle Machete and cosplaying as Kane, but still has that unhealthy obsession with Laurie. Just like the other ones, it turns out that Laurie is his sister. She just doesn't know. Loomis looms around but does nothing, and eventually Laurie gets the heads up on him, points her weapon right at his face, but you still know there's gonna be another one. So even though it's only been 2 years, the original kid actor from the Halloween remake grew faster than Walt, so they had to recast him. But if there's one Halloween movie, right, out of all of them in the franchise, the one movie that's okay for your church group, it's this one. You got police officers boasting about necrophilia, Academy Award winner Octavia Spencer making it seem like they weren't using a prop when she went all out, Michael eating a damn dog, but worst of all, they show you Chris Hardwick. At least all the Dr. Loomis fans can morally defend their hero as he exploits these people's death with a new book. Just like the earlier ones, they take the idea of Laurie having that connection with Michael. They also kind of take the aesthetic of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Voorhees' dead mom motif as she walks around with a horse and tells him what to do. And even though they kill Michael, again, they leave you with this cliffhanger that Laurie is somehow in the ward where she now carries the evil that she's going to carry on forward. Except they ain't giving her a sequel. So now comes the 2018 version titled Halloween, which is a sequel to Halloween, just not to be confused with Halloween. This one had so much hype that they were waiting for it during The Purge, and by ignoring the fact that Jamie Lee Curtis had already returned 3 times, we get to celebrate that she's returning. In this one, Michael's been chilling at this ward where the inmates get everything. Like they can go out and get some views in the sun, food, playtime, Netflix. When these two show up trying to be a wannabe serial podcast, they believe for whatever reason that Michael Myers shouldn't be transferred and locked away forever like he's about to be because, Michael Myers has rights. How? Michael Myers obviously escapes during his transfer, and the first people he kills are these two since they have his mask right before they were about to get that Blue Apron sponsor. Now, I'm not gonna lie and say that I thought this movie was better than the other sequels, right? I do think it's fun, and I'm glad that most people are happy to see Michael killing people again. But while I thought that the characters were dumber than Harry and Lloyd, Michael delivers on the kills. There's a point where he carves a dude's face into a jack-o'-lantern. He's hanging people off fences. Man is dragging the cameraman around. And then this little kid appears. I thought he was funny. The problem was his improv was too funny for all this intensity. Just like every other Halloween movie, Michael goes after his sister Laurie, who's joined the NRA and has been prepping to shoot him in the face. But the movie also adds this Professor Poopy Pants looking dude, who's Michael's new caretaker, aka they call him the new Loomis at one point. But he's got like this weird obsession over Mikey, where he just wants to hear him speak, he wants to hear him call him by his name, and he's kind of the reason why Michael is able to get away multiple times. Jamie remembers the booby trap she did in Halloween Resurrection, section, which, because it doesn't exist, she could just copy them and put them in her own home, where she's able to trap Michael Myers in her cellar and officially, once and for all, obliterate him as he burns and kills Michael Myers to end it all. Except, we already know there's going to be another sequel coming soon. I swear. Michael Myers has died more times than Kenny. Thank you guys for checking out this video. I'm curious to know your thoughts down below in the comments section. I know that there's a theory, again, with this other one, with the new sequel that might be coming up, that little twitch that Jamie's granddaughter has in this movie, that maybe she's still holding that knife because she's going to be the serial killer, which is funny. I swear, if they just continue doing the same storylines that the sequels have that they ignored, that'd be really dumb. But I'm curious to know your thoughts. If there are any other horror franchises, I'm a big fan of the Texas Chainsaw one and Friday the 13th. Halloween's always been dope, but I think those are like the really crazy ones. Let me know. Maybe I'll cover them down below in the comment section. Let me know, will Michael continue to hide in closets, or will he finally be free? And also make sure to check out AMC Drawings. I'm going to be plugging her in for the next week because see these good looks right here? These are all thanks to her. Go check her out on Instagram. Let her know Let Me Explain sent you. And go support all the other stuff, because if you like this channel, you need to go show her some love. Definitely let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, or you're going to see the boogeyman tonight.